Happy New Year to you guys. It's 2023 and hey, I'm really sad. Yes, I'm really sad that I'm only posting this video today on the 2nd of January instead of yesterday, which is why this video is sponsored by no one. Now let's begin. From today onwards, I want you to be playing pawn to c3 in every opening that you will play. So don't skip this video. I'm going to show you how you can quickly win your games with every popular opening that you play. But first, let's look at this weird opening called the Saragossa opening with pawn to c3 on move 1. I'm going to show you how you can employ the same technique that I'm about to show you against the French defense, the Caro-Kann defense, even in the king's pawn opening, the Philidor defense. After c3 on the first move, when you look into the Lichess database, pawn to d5 is the top played move. And you know what to do? You resign. Never mind, I'm just joking. You play this tricky move, pawn to d3. Once again, as you can see in the Lichess database, pawn to e5 is the top played move in this position. So I'm only showing you the top played moves. Don't want to waste your time. So here you can play knight d2 if you want. Playing this in the king's Indian attack style. Of course, that is if you want. But you know how crazy Casper is. He will ask you to play bishop d2. The whole idea is just to begin a very fast queenside development. So after bishop d2, the top played move by black here, according to the Lichess database, again is knight to f6. Only the top moves. So you go pawn to e4. After e4, again the top played move, as you can see, is d takes e4. After which you take back with your pawn, and then from here you can just start playing normal chess. You will play queen c2, knight f3, bishop c4, castle short, bishop g5. It will just be normal chess from here. But after d takes e4, you're going to see most of your unprepared opponents taking your free pawn on e4. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Casper Chess, where you will get familiar with this signature move, queen f4 check, which instantly wins the free knight on e4 and at the same time giving black a check. There's nothing that black can do to defend his knight on e4. So that's the trick that we're going to be looking at throughout this video. How you can apply this same idea in most of the openings that I'm going to show you. Hey, but you may ask, what if black doesn't take on e4 because they already know this trap? Well, the second top played move that you're going to see is knight to c6 here. And now black is attacking our pawn on c4 for sure. But here I just recommend you go queen c2. Because right here your opponent doesn't know your intentions of castling long. So bishop c5 by black, the top played move. Well, here I suggest you go bishop g5. Playing the same piece twice in the opening stage. Yep, in 2023 we are breaking the rules. Looking at this position, it looks like we are just taking advantage of the pin, but nope. We just want to develop our queen's knight, play bishop h4 so that we don't hang our bishop before castling long. But hey, you will see some unprepared opponents in this position taking on f2 with check. This is a common idea by black where they think you're going to take with your king and then they will win your bishop in style after knight g4 check and queen takes g5. Leaving you with a bad position and down a pawn. But hey, you are not going to do that. After bishop takes f2, you don't take with your king. Instead, you take back with your queen. Always look out for this blunder. It's hard to see that with this trade, black has just lost a 4 piece. It doesn't matter what they play here. For example, if knight takes e4, we just simply take the black queen, and after knight takes f2, we take the knight, and knight takes d8. Let me help you count the pieces in case you are confused to see what is happening right now. Black has got 1, 2, 3, 4, while we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Wow, my math is so good. Let's move on to the next trap. The second trap happens in the Ponziani opening. Now, this is why we start with pawn to e4. Black responds with e5, knight f3 attacking the pawn, and then knight c6 defending it. So we go pawn to c3, which is called the Ponziani opening. The top played move in this position by far is knight to f6. Again, attacking our undefended pawn on e4. So what do? Well, you go pawn to d4. Now, wait a second. You won't see many people taking on e4 with their knight in this position. In fact, when you look into the Lichess database, e takes d4 is the top played move. Yeah, followed by knight takes e4 and d6, which is the main area of our mate in this trap. The problem with e takes e4 is that black is scared of this continuation, pawn to d5, and after knight e7, which is the top played move, we have knight takes e5, pawn to d6, there's bishop b5 check, which can simply win the knight on e4 for free after knight takes c6 and bishop takes c6 check. Yeah, there are some lines where black can play queen b6, but I mean, this is just so dangerous for black. In fact, I even have a video where I covered this line. I think it has just popped up in the card above. Feel free to watch that video after finishing to watch this one. So this is the reason why you're not going to see your opponents taking on e4 after you play pawn to d4. At least in 2023, you won't see most of your opponents playing that. They already know it. So they're going to play solidly with moves such as pawn to d6. So they just want to play chess, paving way for the light squared bishop. And this is where you play bishop e2. By the way, I suggest that you play this move as fast as you can when you see pawn to d6, okay? Black will think it's a mouse leap. And hey, if they take on e4, just say hallelujah. Because now black's knight on e4 once again is dead. How? You just go pawn to d5. If they play knight e7, here comes another Casper move. This signature move, attacking the black king and at the same time winning the poor knight on e4. Okay, so you're not going to see black taking on e4. I mean, even if they don't know what is happening here, people are just afraid of taking free things. So instead, you're going to see them taking the pawn on d4 with their e-pawn, and after you take back, now they're like, what are you doing? They're going to play knight takes e4, which is the top played move in this position. And once again, you can now go pawn to d5. Because if knight e5, well, you can simply go queen f4 once again, our signature move. And after bishop d7, you take that free knight on a4. And since we are pinning this knight to the king, if bishop e7, you take the next knight. And if pawn takes, don't be greedy, just cast a shot. Let's look at the next opening where you can apply this same technique. Now we look at the Philidor defense. This is where we begin with pawn to e4, then black responds with e5, the king's pawn game, knight to f3, then instead of knight c6, your opponent plays pawn to d6. This is called the Philidor defense and it's one of the most common openings at beginner level. So the top played move here is pawn to d4, but hey, it's 2023 where you are supposed to start playing this move, pawn to c3. After this move, I'm sure you already know what our plans are. Again, knight to f6 is the top played move in the Lichess database. And instead of playing pawn to d4, which is the top played move again in the Lichess database, I recommend that you just play this move again as fast as you can, bishop e2. At the time of this recording, over 14,000 sons of Samson and Delilah have perished in this line after playing the natural looking move, knight takes e4. What's wrong with people? They don't seem to learn. We just play queen f4 check, our signature move once again, and we are assured of winning a free knight on e4 once again. So pawn to c3 is a very deadly strategy and most of your opponents will forget about this move. Anyways, you're not going to see most of your advanced opponents taking this free pawn on e4 since they are already aware of this queen f4 check, so they are going to play something like knight c6, blocking the check in advance so that they can now take the pawn on e4 for sure. But here is why you're supposed to play this move, pawn to d4. Now, once again, if they play knight takes e4, you know what to do. So even if they don't know exactly what is going on, they are going to be afraid taking this pawn. First of all, they start with e takes d4, after which you should take back with your c pawn. And only then are you going to see them taking on e4 with their knight. What do you say again? Hallelujah. Because now you go pawn to d5 and the knight on e4 is dead once again, just like in the previous opening which I showed you. While bishop d7, you just take the free knight. And if pawn to f5 this time, instead of bishop e7, back up. The c2 square is the perfect square for your queen in these kinds of setups. I mean, if knight takes f3 with check, you take with your bishop, queen e7 check, you play bishop back to e2 and cast a shot. Alright, let's look at the same technique now against the French defense. Now, I've never seen this trick which I'm about to show you anywhere on YouTube. So you are the first to see this on my channel. And that's why you have all the reasons to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because that's how you encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just for you guys. And if at all you are enjoying this video, the like button is just next to your thumb, very near to your thumb. You can just click there. I'm giving you 4 seconds as I take you into the next trick. Alright, against the French defense, again we go pawn to e4, then black responds with e6. That's the French defense. Now the top played move here by far is pawn to d4. That's how we approach the French defense. But hey, do you know that you can also play pawn to d3? This is called the French defense King's Indian attack. And trust me, pawn to d5 is still the top played move by far, because that's what completes the French defense. I mean, it's pawn to e6, pawn to d5. That's what people play. And once again, just like in the Saragossa opening, you can still play this in the normal King's Indian style with moves such as knight d2, so that if pawn takes, you take back with your pawn. And then you play knight f3 next, pawn to g3, bishop g2, castle short, queen e2. But that's not what we are here for. Here, instead of knight d2, I recommend you go bishop d2. And once again, if you look into the Lichess database here, you will see that d takes e4 is by far the top played move, after which you simply take back with your pawn. And once again, you can see for yourselves, knight to f6 is the top played move, attacking this e4 pawn which is undefended. And only then do I recommend pre-moving pawn to c3 as if you don't know what is happening, or as if it's a mouse slip, or maybe that you just lacked a bit of patience. You are going to see most of your opponents again taking on e4. Look at this. I'm not just making these moves up in my mind. Knight takes e4 is what everybody plays, but what do? Casper move. Once again, winning the free knight on e4. Let's move forward. The last trick is against the Caro-Kann defense. So this is why you play e4, then pawn to c6, then you go d4, just normal moves. And black plays pawn to d5. This is the Caro-Kann defense by black. I have a course on this defense, you guys. The link for my website is in the description down below, where you can find that course and many other courses suitable for beginners and intermediate level players. That's if you want to take your chess to the next level beyond tricks and traps. So what do I recommend against the Caro-Kann defense in this video? Well, pawn to c4 and low. This is no longer the Caro-Kann defense, brethren, but the Slav defense Dima Gambit. This is worth researching on in the near future, and I'm going to make a video on this one very soon. So we are gambiting a pawn on e4 here, and black will surely take it. After which we now play bishop g5, the Trompowsky move. Again, when you look into the Lichess database, knight to f6 is by far the top played move. Sometimes they can begin with bishop f5 and then play knight to f6. It doesn't matter. So knight to f6. After this, I recommend you just continue with knight c3, normal development. The idea is to take the knight and win this free pawn on e4. That's why you're going to see black responding with bishop f5 and normal bishop development in the Caro-Kann defense before playing pawn to e6. Now, wait a second. The normal continuation here is knight ge2, but instead of playing that, simply play like Casper, pawn to d5. If c takes d5, which is the top played move, you don't take back on d5 first. Remember this in between move. Bishop takes f6. And after e takes f6, that's when you take back on d5 with your pawn and not your knight. Hey baby, we haven't gone very far, but this is just the 8th move of the game, and guess what the top played move for black is in this position? Bishop b4, pinning your knight to the king. But this is a blunder because of queen f4 once again check, which will end up winning a minor piece. Yes, Stockfish could have played better, but anyways, this is what we do to he who doesn't learn.
Oh, Casper C. Black can play knight c6, blocking the check.
Oh, really? I wish. D takes c6. And after bishop takes c3 check, we simply take back with our pawn, and low black is just down a full piece. It doesn't matter what black does here, we're just going to win another pawn, we'll exchange queens and end up winning the whole game. This is game over. And you guys see, this is a great channel. By now, we were supposed to be at least somewhere around 100,000 subscribers, but I can't force you to do the right thing. All I can say is thank you to my subscribers who have been consistently supporting my works and encourage me to keep on making more wonderful videos just like this one. If you want to be part of the Casper Chess community, you can simply subscribe to this channel in order to help it grow. So share this video if you can. Share my channel if you can to help me help you. And this is how we end this video.